It finally happened. After years of silence, hesitation, and private negotiation behind palace walls, King Charles III has delivered the most brutal royal blow in modern history. And Prince William is standing firmly behind him. Prince Andrew has been stripped of every remaining royal title, every privilege, every honor, and even the right to call himself His Royal Highness. And according to insiders, this was not a symbolic move. It was the king publicly cutting his own brother loose to protect the monarchy from reputational collapse. This wasn't a quiet reshuffling of duties. This was a deliberate, unprecedented erasure, confirmed through letters patent, and followed by a forced move out of Royal Lodge, the home Andrew lived in for decades. The action came after renewed outrage over Andrew's long-criticized ties to Jeffrey Epstein, and the resurfacing of allegations that have haunted the royal family for years. As global pressure intensified, the king and his heir made a rare united front. William's message was clear: the future of the crown cannot include Andrew. But behind this public shutdown, there's a deeper story, one filled with tension, loyalty, and decisions that may shape the monarchy for decades. Not many things in royal history have landed as hard as the bombshell dropped in late 2025. The moment the decree came through, it changed everything. King Charles III used the ancient power of the crown to formally strip Prince Andrew, now to be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, of his title, honors, and privileges. The public reaction was immediate. For decades, scandals and allegations had hovered around Andrew's name, but many observers expected silence or subtle distancing. Instead, the monarchy acted decisively. This sent a shockwave not just through the corridors of power in London, but across the world. The message was clear: ties with scandal, no matter how old or controversial, would no longer be tolerated. Still, what does this mean for Andrew himself? Stripped of status, stripped of privilege, it signals something far deeper than a demotion. It's a demarcation, a symbolic excommunication from the public face of the royal family. And as the dust settled from that decision, an even more tangible punishment was set in motion. Let's move to what came next, and why this removal wasn't just about names and titles, but about ground the former prince now had to walk on. With the titles gone, the next blow was painfully concrete. Andrew was ordered to leave his longtime home. For over 2 decades, he lived in Royal Lodge, a sprawling 30-room mansion in Windsor Great Park. It wasn't just a home, it was a symbol of status, legacy, royal privilege. Now that lease has been surrendered. The palace issued formal notice: Andrew must vacate. He is to relocate to a private residence, reportedly on the more modest Sandringham estate in Norfolk, at the personal expense of the king. This isn't a simple change of address, it's forced exile. From the opulence of Royal Lodge to the anonymity of private quarters, the shift is stark, and it signals something: that the royal institution is no longer willing to provide sanctuary under its roof to someone whose name fuels scandal. More than that, the eviction underlines a deeper strategy: to draw a sharp line between what's personal and what belongs to the crown. Andrew's removal from the lodge isn't just logistical, it's symbolic. It strips away the privileges of birth, the aura of legacy, and the protection long afforded to royal missteps. Even his former ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, has been told to make alternate arrangements. Their daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, retain their titles, but the hangover from this move reverberates across the entire branch. So far, the steps taken have been public, irreversible, sweeping. But there remains a hidden dimension. What does this mean for how the monarchy views loyalty, reputation, and the price of scandal. Let's dive into the reasons and the context behind these drastic actions. The decision didn't come out of nowhere. For years, Jeffrey Epstein's name haunted corridors of power, and more disturbingly, the ones associated with Andrew. Allegations of sexual abuse, long-standing ties, survivor testimonies, and renewed public outrage created pressure that the palace could no longer ignore. Then came a new wave, a posthumous memoir from survivor Virginia Roberts Giuffre, whose family recently affirmed their loss and courage. The book renewed focus on Andrew's alleged involvement in Epstein's trafficking network. It forced the royal family's hand. From the viewpoint of the crown, this wasn't merely about public relations. It was about moral authority. The palace statement was explicit. Though Andrew denies the allegations, they judged there had been serious lapses of judgment. Behind closed doors, advisors warned that continuing to tolerate his presence, titles intact, privileges unscathed, would irreparably damage the institution. As one insider put it, the monarchy's survival depends on restoring dignity, not defending scandal. So even though the allegations had not resulted in criminal conviction, the risk to institutional legitimacy was deemed too high. In effect, the move signals a shift. Royal heritage no longer offers blanket protection. The crown, and more importantly, public opinion, demands accountability or at least visible separation from controversy. And that recalibration marks a turning point in how modern monarchy operates. But there's one more dimension to this story, a dynamic that's changed not just Andrew's status, but the optics and future of the entire royal family. Behind the public announcement lies a sign of unity at the top. The decision had the backing of the heir apparent, Prince William, Prince of Wales. Reports indicate that William supported the move to sever Andrew's royal ties. For William, the action seems less about family drama and more about safeguarding the future of the monarchy. With Andrew sidelined, the path ahead becomes clearer. Fewer scandals, fewer distractions, a cleaner image for what lies ahead. Insiders say he doesn't want to inherit a legacy haunted by repeated controversies. This alignment between king and heir shifts the entire internal power dynamic. It subtly but unmistakably says the old guard's mistakes will no longer define the institution's future. New leadership demands new standards, and Andrew's removal is the hard reset. Moreover, this move isn't just about people, it's about the perception of the crown itself. For decades, royal scandals were often managed quietly behind closed walls. Now, the message is no more cover-ups. The monarchy is signaling it will publicly draw lines to protect its relevance in a modern world. For royal watchers and the public alike, this redefines what it means to be a royal today. Titles are no longer guarantees. Legacy no longer ensures immunity. And perhaps, for the first time in decades, accountability is being publicly institutionalized, which raises a big question. With Andrew gone from the picture, what does the monarchy's future look like, and who gets to shape it? And that's where we go next. With Prince Andrew officially stripped of his royal titles and his residence reclaimed, the ripple effects started fast and loud. The formal removal wasn't a quiet, internal family affair. The official notice was published via a letters patent under the Great Seal of the realm, meaning this wasn't reversible or symbolic. He is now referred to as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The eviction from his longtime home at Royal Lodge, a 30-room Crown Estate mansion he'd occupied for decades, wasn't just about property rights. It sent a message. The old protections, privileges, and untouchable status once afforded by birthright no longer hold. For many survivors of abuse linked to Jeffrey Epstein, for the public, And for critics of royal privilege, this was a moment of symbolic justice. In a statement, the palace said the move was necessary, notwithstanding the fact he continues to deny the allegations. And now Andrew's daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, remain titled, but the stain on their family name is sharper than ever. Their father's fall isn't just a personal crisis. It threatens to reshape public trust in the institution itself. But while this chapter seems closed on paper, few believe the fallout will settle quickly. Many questions remain about accountability, reputation, and whether this signals a permanent shift in how scandal is handled in the monarchy. This purge didn't appear out of thin air. The timing, late 2025, reflects mounting pressure over renewed revelations tied to Epstein and survivor testimonies, most notably from Virginia Roberts Giuffre. Her memoir, published posthumously, reignited global scrutiny into Andrew's past and put the monarchy under intense pressure. Inside the palace and government, advisors reportedly concluded that continuing to tolerate Andrew's status, with public titles and privileges intact, threatened the legitimacy and future of the crown. The risk to the monarchy's reputation was judged too high. Thus, the king used his royal prerogative. Letters patent and a royal warrant were immediately deployed, bypassing the need for parliamentary involvement. The decision reflects a turning point. Titles, once nearly untouchable under birthright, or at worst quietly sidelined, are now subject to revocation if the associated individual becomes a reputational liability. That marks a new standard for accountability in an institution long criticized for shielding its own. And it's not just about symbolism. The restoration of public trust, the monarchy's relevance in a changing world, those stakes were likely behind the move. As one insider put it, the crown had to choose survival over tradition. What makes this purge even more striking is that it came with the backing, reportedly full support, of King Charles III's heir, Prince William, the Prince of Wales. William's support signals something deeper than distance from scandal. It hints at a shift in legacy and leadership. By aligning with the king, he's staking a claim for a clean slate monarchy, one less burdened by inherited controversy. Royal watchers believe he wants a future where the crown is tied to conduct, not just birth. This also reshapes the power dynamics inside the royal family. With Andrew sidelined, the path forward for monarchy rests more clearly on Charles and William, and perhaps more on merit, reputation, and modern sensibilities than on the traditional privileges of large royal families. It's a stained glass break in the centuries-old tradition, a hint that the monarchy is being redefined for a new era, where accountability may carry more weight than ancestry. But this raises a big question. With Andrew gone, what kind of monarchy will William inherit? And how will the public respond to this reset? With Andrew's titles revoked, and with palace support behind the move, the stage is set for a new chapter in the royal saga. For many, this is a long-awaited reckoning, a sign that even royals are not above consequences. For the institution, it could be a lifeline, a chance to rebuild public trust. But there's uncertainty too. Some critics argue that stripping titles and property is a surface-level fix, that real justice requires deeper accountability. Allegations against Andrew remain unproven in a court of law, and he continues to deny any wrongdoing. Public opinion is likely to remain polarized. Some will see this as overdue justice. Others may view the removal as insufficient without legal consequences. The survivors and their advocates caution that symbolic punishment cannot replace full transparency or legal scrutiny. Then there's the question of what this means for the monarchy's future. The move could mark the beginning of a more streamlined royal family, focused, disciplined, and image-conscious. Or it could backfire, drawing even more attention to past scandals and raising doubts over institutional integrity. And finally, how will Andrew respond? Will he stay silent, attempt damage control, or fade out of public eye altogether? His next moves could trigger fresh headlines. Or maybe the monarchy will move on. One thing is clear. This isn't just a royal reshuffle. It may be the start of a new era, one where legacy costs more than ever.